Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to another week with Fathers Who Care. It has been one of those weeks. It's been up and down, but God is still good. Listen, I want to first send out a hope and a prayer to those who were impacted by the storm. It was kind of rough for a second.
Ooh.
But we're thankful for those who made it through, and we continue to pray for those who may be going through whatever they may be going through in the transition or in the rebuilding or the healing from the storm. But most importantly, we want to say to you, thank you all for your faithfulness, and thank you for all you've done throughout the years to empower Fathers Who Care and the young people that we're working with. It has always been our pleasure to first thank CAN TV for the years and the service that they have provided to making sure that this venue is available. And as you all remember, we do have some young people who are matriculating on to college, and we're bringing in more young people for our youth leadership programs, and we're looking for young people for our Thursday leadership committees, our youth council meetings, and we're just hoping that those who may be watching this evening have a heart for the young people, have a heart for youth engagement, for intergenerational mentoring, for empowering our young people, for providing resources, development, and opportunities for their growth. But listen, this show tonight is going to be on men empowering men. Now, I'm kind of excited about this show for a couple of reasons. One reason I'm excited about this show is because I've been working with the gentleman to my right, and we're going to talk to Carlos in a minute about what we're doing under a program, agency, or an initiative, I should say, called Partnering for Success, which is a federal initiative that we've been collaborating on for a few years to present some violence prevention, i.e., substance abuse, reducing underage drinking. But we kind of collaborate all of those things together because we believe mental health, we believe substance use, substance misuse, underage drinking, and all the other can also contribute to the negative impacts on young people. And so we've been talking about things through the different programs that we've been working on and the schools we've been working with, particularly about a program or curriculum, the 7 Challenges.
That's right.
And we're going to talk about that. Show them a book of that 7 Challenges.
Yeah.
Now, this is a book that's inside the schools. And one of the things I'm really excited about is the fact that we are able to kind of bridge the gap. We kind of bridge the gap between the West Side and the South Side. We bridge the gap between the African Americans and the Latino community. And that's what we would like to see happen. Folks are talking about all kind of good things in Chicago, and I thank you for doing it. But most importantly, we need the resources. We need the resources, we need the capacity, we need the infrastructure, we need the leadership, we need folks working together to really bring about social change. Anyone can pour money into something. But if you're not getting results, then we need to recreate some things, empower some things, or enlarge some things, enrich some things, encourage our young people, inspire our young people, engage our young people. Our young people are speaking, our young people are crying out, and they're speaking the language that they know.
That's correct.
And we have to be mindful of that. But another thing Carlos and I was just talking about, and we've had opportunities in the past to do the yacht clubs together. We've had opportunities to do feeding the homeless. We've had both groups coming together to empower each other, the Latino and the African American. So we've been doing a lot of work together, and I believe we're going to continue to do such.
Absolutely.
But this show, we want to dedicate this show to men empowering and engaging other men. Now, our mission is, of course, rather simple: to continue to engage and empower our young people, but also to create social change and community empowerment in our communities. I think we are facing a lot of things that are going on. I'm really kind of taken aback with the news these days. I'm really kind of a little bit perturbed, if you will.
That's very kind.
Yes, because I've got some other choice words
Yeah,
that I would like to say.
We'll leave them off the television.
Yeah, but I'm kind of perturbed because I'm more concerned with the folks who have not. But then I see so much going on with folks who have so much at the expense of so many who have so little.
Yeah.
But Carlos, let's take this show to the next level. We're going to use this show tonight to talk about what we can do to work collaboratively with each other. But most of all, how can we share resources, intellectual properties, and keep a serious emphasis on empowering our future leaders. I strongly believe that young people can't be what they can't see. And I believe that we all come short. We all can stand some uplifting. We all can stand some encouragement. We all can stand the collaboration of each other. And we all need each other. So tonight we got some questions and we got some concerns we want to bring to you, the viewing audience. But again, I want to thank one of our youth council members, Vernicia, who sat in for me last week. A lot of things were going on. And of course, as we get older and as we get involved with so many initiatives in the community, we are pulled in so many different ways.
Yes, we are.
And I just don't know how to say no or not right now. So I love to be where I need to be and empowering others. So I want to thank Vernicia and the rest of them for that. And I want to thank Elise for being on the show last week and for the work that you all are doing in the community. But this evening, let's talk specifically, Carlos, or what can we do with the theme tonight? What can we do to engage and empower our young people, but not running them off, if you will, not isolating them, not putting them in an environment where they feel unwanted, uncared for, not putting them in an environment where we're judging. You know, I'm more on the non-judgmental side.
Thank you.
You know-
That was you took the word right out of my mouth.
Yeah, you know, I like for young
people.
people to be young people. Because personally, I learned so much from them, in all honesty.
Yeah.
And I don't particularly subscribe to a lot of the things they do, but the peer group and what they deal with in their community is a contributing factor to that.
Absolutely.
So we have to bring other avenues, if you will, of empowerment to them, but do not be so rigid that we can't allow young people to not be young people. But then I also want to encourage men who are out there, if you're listening, to get involved with us at Fathers Who Care. But also we do a Westside Men's Group. I'm wearing the cap. And we'll be meeting tomorrow, Friday, at MacArthur's at 12 o'clock. We bring men from all walks of life on the west side of Chicago and surrounding areas. And we come together with our intellectual properties to share ideas and concerns. And then we got another event coming up this week. We're doing some work with some other folks out in the suburbs. And then next week, we're going to be doing some work with Loretta Hospital. We've been kind of thankful that Loretta has partnered with the West Side and the West Garfield Park community stakeholders in our summer screening series. You've been at many of them.
They've done a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And brought their resources and attention. And, I'm always grateful to River Hospital.
Well, I have to say that. I really have to say that because they've gone through some transitions and they've gone through some leadership. And I have nothing to do with that. All right? That's not my area.
No.
My area is making sure that we bring those resources to the community. I mean, we don't have very many hospitals, community hospitals in Austin or West Garfield Park. We do have My Sound Now, which is in North Lawndale. We have West Sub, which is in Austin. We have PCC, which is in Austin. But there's some things going on in some of these hospitals where some folks may not be receiving the much needed health care that they need. And so some folks really...
And to put some meat on those bones, I have a young man who was just released from the Illinois Youth Center.
Okay.
So he made some poor decisions, but he'd been working on his life, and he needed some help. I had to drive him all the way to Oak Park because our health providers didn't have the specialty they need. I'm not going to talk about what he needed.
Yeah.
It's confidential.
Yes, HIPAA.
But as you know, we're grateful to do that. We're glad to do that because that's the way we work. But we want to challenge, our leaders and challenge the community to ensure that these resources don't leave out.
Okay, so let's go down that road then.
Yeah.
So first, Carlos, let's just introduce you.
Okay.
You're the project director.
Correct. Yes, for this Partners for Success grant that you and I work together on.
Okay, so before we go into to talking about the grant
Okay.
and what we're doing and why we're doing it, tell me why. I want to go beyond the career side. I want to talk about the personal side now.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm really a stickler for that. Why are you so committed to wanting to empower young folks. A lot of folks don't do this work,
Right.
because it takes a lot out of us. Look at your hair. Look at mine. All right. This is what we get. This is the reward we get.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get the reward of being able to grow great.
And we're like seed planters too.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's our job.
Isn't it beautiful when a young person comes back, when they become they're an older adult, I should say, because they're young adults.
Right.
Let's be serious.
But tell me,
They come
Carlos,
back, yeah.
tell me, why are you so passionate about this work?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say in my tradition is I need to give you gratitude. Okay. First of
Gratitude.
all, for having me on this show, but also for the work that you do. You are a connector, Reverend Jones, and a lot of the work that you do behind the scenes doesn't get acknowledged, and I want to ensure that happens tonight. So I'm going to start with that.
Well, I appreciate that. And, for those of us who do the work, we don't do the work for the acknowledgement. It's nice every now and then.
Yeah.
Good job.
But we have to do that for each other.
Yeah,
take care of each
I think
other,
it's
lift each other
important.
up.
I mean, everyone needs some nurturing, some encouragement sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone needs it. I mean, it's only good for the soul.
Yeah.
But tell me, why are you passionate about the work, though?
Yeah.
So you didn't want to talk about that.
Yeah. Well, Duh.
Go ahead.
The man knows I live for this.
Yeah.
First of all, before we even started the show tonight, we talked about how there's just so much terrible propaganda, not just about the youth that live around our communities, but the whole city. Right? You'd think if you came to Chicago, man, you'd be like ducking bullets all the time, and that's just not the case. So part of the way I do it, first of all, I'm honored to be a father.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And
Yes.
how difficult it is to be a parent, but you know how much of a gift it is, right?
Right.
But the other piece is that I want to make sure that the young people in our community see themselves for who they are. They are powerful, they're smart, they have agency, and actually they have the keys to some of the problems that we face, right?
Right.
We talk about this all the time about how when a kid maybe gets into a fight or is late to school or is using drugs or alcohol, we'll talk about that later on tonight if we have time. It's just a sign of something important going on. And so on the one hand, I'm working with young people, making sure that I'm lifting them up for them, give them some perspective to see who they are. But on the other hand, as you know, you and I do it, we both have to advocate in the community so that these youth are not being pathologized, not being thrown to the side, right? In other words, when something like the things I mentioned a while ago happen, instead of pushing them away, we have to pull them closer and
Right.
love them more. Right?
Absolutely.
And some of the most difficult kids really need our loving more. So how can we use our imaginations and creativity to ensure that we take care of them?
But you notice the work in the work you do, and I know you feel it because that's how we keep doing it. When we're working with young folks and kind of dealing with some of the issues that they're currently facing, all they're doing is literally crying out.
Absolutely.
They're speaking the language that they're accustomed to speaking, but basically in their hearts of hearts, they're really saying, I'm not who others think of me to be, right?
Right.
I'm
Listen
not what
to
I'm not who they say I am. I do care, and they do care.
Yes.
But so they're just trying to navigate through some of the issues and concerns that are negatively impacting their lives.
Yes.
So I think it's imperative on us, particularly as men, because we go through a lot. We go through a lot with relationships. We go through a lot trying to develop relationships when it comes to these young people. But the young people, if they keep coming back or if they keep engaging, that's letting you know that they care.
Right.
And you may not get them all in the beginning, but if you hold on and just keep on doing the right thing with them, you'll get them. But let's move on to this point. Tell me about West Care. What is the mission behind West Care?
So our mission
That's
really
who you're
is
working for.
Right, correct. We're a national organization, a not-for-profit, and we say we're about uplifting the human spirit. Now, however we do that, we use our creativity to make that happen. Here in Chicago, I was fortunate to be involved in this project that allows me to utilize my creativity, but also lift up some of these unsung heroes like the Reverend here, right? So the idea behind the grant, and I'm going to focus on the grant as opposed to
Okay.
West Care, is for me to help connect resources to this man who's already connected well and ensure that this organization, Fathers Who Care, continues on to the future and develops and gets wider and wider support, because we believe that the work that Fathers Who Care, in the case of the West Side, is worthy of making sure that happens. On the South Side, we work with an organization called Children's Earth Foundation. Maybe we can have Chris Shuttlesworth on the show sometime.
Absolutely,
But
absolutely.
I think the other thing is that we want to develop capacity so that this propaganda that I started off with doesn't win the day, right? You and I have so much experience doing this work that we're like, whoa, wait a minute. This is you're not seeing these things right? So we have to do a lot of correcting, right? And so our job is to help develop situations where people can have honest dialogues and really get at the roots of the issues that are happening, as opposed to just dealing with what I consider the leaves and the branches, right? The violence, the drugs, and things like that. Those are just symptoms of something deeper, right?
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. So here we're talking again. You're talking to Fathers Who Care, and our guest this evening is Carlos Rodriguez, and Carlos is the program director for Partnership for Success with West Care. Of course, this is an initiative that we've been working on for about 4 years now.
Yeah, we're almost done with our 4th year.
So what are we trying to accomplish? What's the goal?
Yeah, well, so the goal is to change attitudes, reduce alcohol, drug use, and get young people to understand how to develop skills around violence. But more than that, too, is to develop partnerships in the community so that this message gets far and wide. You see what I'm saying?
Right,
so
right.
They call it a strategic prevention framework because the idea is that we're not going to do it alone. We know that. Right? There's not enough of the Reverend Jones out there as much as we'd like to have many. We've got to get out there and make partners and let's call it like this just huge spider web of support for young people so that they're able to have really healthy lives.
So what would be if you had to give me a success story of the work thus far? I would love to hear that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I believe that there's so many successes now. Anytime we can see a young person who did not succumb to some of the vice that's in their community, the alcohol. There's so many drugs out here now impacting these young folks, and then just the legalization, if you will, of cannabis. I personally don't think that's a good move. But those who empower,
you know about the developing brain. That's why.
yeah. But when I look in the community and I go down some of the streets, particularly like Madison, and I see that it's like an open market in front of law enforcement, and nothing is happening. So if you see young people, which young people have to journey down these streets. To go to stores, to do what they do, to go to school. So they're gonna see all of this.
Okay.
So if they're seeing all of this and all of this is like normal, then that becomes part of their circle, if you will. That becomes a part of their existence.
Right.
They thinking it's okay. So then the mind leaves, doing things that's more creative, more educational, to being out there on the street, thinking this is the way that you have to survive. So what can we do to continue to educate our young people, to let them know that they don't have to go left and get caught up into those streets and start to selling drugs on the street or being victims of substance misuse?
Yes, correct. Yeah, I think the first thing we've got to do is we've got to be creative and figure out ways to connect with them, right? A young person, first of all, is never going to do anything unless they know that you care about them, right?
Right.
So we have to set up situations where they can feel safe around us, right? I think we have to use our imagination as opposed to what usually happens is adults talk down to or talk at young people. We have to engage them and have them kind of lead some of these discussions, not be afraid of that, right? So it's sort of a holistic view of things. I love the fact that you're raising your voice saying, hey, when we don't say anything, that just gives people permission to proceed with these behaviors that we know that are ultimately going to lead to some poor decisions, right?
And
I tell people this all the time. I had a very wise grandfather. He had a third grade education, right? And he always would share with me these proverbs in Spanish. They're called dichos, right? And he would say this to me: Dime con quien andas y te diré quién eres. That means tell me who you hang with and I'll tell you who you are. Okay? So if you're hanging with people that are just about getting high, just not really doing much, that's what's going to happen to you.
Okay.
So what we want to do is we want to become relevant, surround them with not just pro-social activities, but also develop skills so they can step up and they can be the solution to those things. There's this one young man, I'm going to give you this example, okay? When I met him, he was 13 years old, and he was being groomed to be a gang leader, okay? I remember he got in trouble with the courts, and he was forced to come and see me. Man, this kid didn't want nothing to do with me, let me tell you, okay? But I patiently was there. I didn't give up. We didn't give up. I think I'll say that as a team. We stuck with him, and eventually he saw that, oh, wow, these guys, unlike some of my members of my family and my friends, they're not going away, and they actually really care about me. And he began to talk about his life. Once he started telling his story, I knew that we were going in the right direction, because then we could create what we call ambivalence, right? If I do this, this could happen, but if I do that, this could happen, right? We have to think creatively about how to set up those situations, and not just for one or two kids, but for whole communities, right?
Okay.
I believe strongly that there's men and women that are out there that want to do that. They live the same experience. They go down these same streets that you're talking about, that these young people do. They just need to connect with other people like us,
Right,
to be able to lift these kids up. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, and that's what we do, but now we're going to talk about why we do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to come back, and I want to kind of preference the 7 challenges.
Okay. Yeah.
Why is this initiative or this curriculum or this program, if you will, why is it important, and why is it different than other violence or substance abuse prevention programs?
Yeah. Well, the first thing about the 7 challenges is we're going to go back to the word that you used earlier. It approaches youth in a non-judgmental way.
Okay.
Okay. It's holistic. So even though the main reason a lot of these young people come to the groups or their sessions is because of drugs or alcohol, we're more concerned about them as human beings, right? I had this one young person today, actually. I was over at a school called UCAN on the west side. Speaking of success, because of the work we did and the seeds we planted, Reverend, many schools are now coming and asking us to get involved, right? So anyway, this kid was like, man, I've been to things like this before. You ain't got to stop. You ain't going to stop me from smoking weed. Marijuana is the most safest drug in the world, right? And my response to him was, thank you for being honest. Now, interesting enough, a lot of counselors or group facilitators might get into a power struggle with a kid. The 7 challenges actually says that, you know what? You can validate a kid's experience. It doesn't mean you agree with them, but validating allows them to speak their mind. And then I told him, hey, I appreciate you being honest, but tell me more. I think he was surprised. So that's another part of the philosophy. It's undoing negative expectations, right? Of what's going to happen. And you know what? And the rest of the kids helped me out too. They said, I shouldn't say kids. Excuse me if you're watching. The young adults I work with. They told him, hey, Mr. Carlos is never going to tell you what to do. It's your choice what to do. That don't mean he's not going to challenge you to think about other options. But I think that's the beauty of the 7 challenges. The other piece is the goal is not actually sobriety or being drug-free. The goal is to make healthier and wiser decisions about your drug use and your life. Okay, notice that. I just said drug use and your life, right? Again, I think you can get to the roots of things more is if you allow a young person to talk about what's going on. You know what it's like that. If we sat here, if there's one thing that adults I'd like you to walk away with is that young people a lot of time use drugs because there's some unmet need. They're trying to self-soothe. They might have experienced trauma. And, if you're walking down those streets all the time and you're poor and you've had issues that have gone on in your family where your folks are not around, sometimes the drugs will help for the moment, right? So it doesn't mean we agree with the use. What it does is just we want to acknowledge the reality of it. Right?
So how do we combat it? Because we know, we know for young people, I mean, grown folks, they're entitled to kind of make their own decisions. They're
Sure.
grown.
That's right.
Young people, unfortunately, they're not consciously making their decisions. They're being influenced into making decisions.
Yes,
It's a difference here, all right?
Exactly.
So when we're talking about assisting young folks and trying to make sure that they can improve or to live a life that is pleasing, that's open, if you will, where they can be whatever they want to be, right?
Right.
How can we compete with so many other issues that's literally negatively impacting their lives
Right.
when we're trying so hard to empower them, but they're getting so many different resources from other things,
Right.
and we're limited on the resources or the stipends, if you will, that we can give them.
Right, right. I think one of the answers is, and we got to look at this objectively, is a lot of young people actually are craving authentic relationships with adults.
Okay.
Right.
I agree.
So
I agree.
So what does it do? It's on us.
Okay.
Right. That's the first thing. The other thing is that at our risk, if you ignore their real lives, you're never gonna do that. I want to say something. I want to applaud the mayor right now for this mental health initiative. At least he's acknowledging the problem, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But what we need to do is
Putting the money behind it.
run with that, yeah, and then get
And
to
the county.
roots. Yeah, and the county too.
Yeah.
Right? I think what happens again is that the fabric that holds these kids is not at ease. It's diseased, right? I mean, can we make schools relevant? Can we help their parents get stable jobs?
So
and
tell the
good
folks
healthcare,
about who
right?
you are, Carlos. They're telling us that we're about that time. Tell us a little bit more about the 7 challenges, where we are, and if folks are interested in being a part of it, what can we do to get them involved?
That's great. So right now we're at 3 alternative high schools on the
Okay.
west side, and we're getting ready to go into a CPS school this fall. I'm excited about that. That means that what's being acknowledged by principals and social workers is that we're going to talk about these things openly, and we're going to bring people in that are experts that can help not just work with the young people, but change the minds and attitudes of the adults that work with the young people. Right. We can't work with this in a vacuum. Right. We would love for you guys to help with, for example, the youth council that the Reverend runs on Thursday night. We want to
Yeah.
make sure that we ensure that you get the Reverend's phone number here tonight.
Yeah,
Can
let's
you
do
give
that.
them- Can you give them their phone number?
So I'm going to give you mine. Carlos going to give you his. Fathers Who Care is 773-287-5821, 773-287-5821, or you can log on to fatherswhocare.org. Carlos, give us your number.
Yeah, West Care's number is 312-568-7051. And guess what? I'm going to give you my work cell phone number, 312-504-7263. We are really open to figuring out how to include you in solutions.
So listen, we want you to know, though, even though we know that this show was kind of quick, we want you to know, tune in next week, but we also want you to know that we're recruiting young people to be involved. We will be in the schools, so we're going to be paying a lot of attention to the schools, and we're going to be requesting additional assistance from our elected officials and others to bring much needed resources back to these schools, because we have found that it's easier to deal with these young folks where they are, as opposed to trying to figure out where they are. All right.
That's right.
So going into the schools, going into the churches, going into the park districts, that's what some of the young people are engaging, and that's the place we need to be. So we want to also encourage you, those who are interested in being part of this movement. We're looking for fathers, we're looking for mothers to empower some of the young women. Again, Carlos referenced that we meet Thursdays with the young folks, but we meet there's drop-in every day for young people.
Right.
So if young people are going through whatever they're going through in the community, please give us a call again at 773-287-5821. Again, it's our pleasure to serve, and we want to serve. And Carlos, I want to thank you for all you do, the passion you have for the young people. Let's continue to work. Let's continue to do the good work. Again, on the 27th of July, next Saturday, we'll be starting off our summer screening series on the west side of Chicago at Loretta Hospital. For more information, if you want to be involved, give us a call. That's the information right there on the screen. Give us a call at Fathers Who Care at 773-287-5821. 221. Free resources, free entertainment, free food, free health screenings. You need it. We got it. We want you to be involved. We're going to have so many different vendors and different individuals out. We need you out there to know your health. Health is wealth. God bless you. God keep you. And we'll see you soon.